all taken away. Rumble, Aurora, and Skarner. Corky's still up and available if you want to play for that. Victor could be a player in this game as well, Ulk.
That is true. Victor first pick could be
Bessa
here, but when Red Side is banning Rumble, I think it's very fair that we're going to be seeing a little bit of Mbessa. Although Mbessa has not been the champion, aside from Hoya in the very first game here of Demacia Cup, we've not really seen Mbessa kind of take Nexuses down. So sad to see that the new champion's not kind of hitting. Maybe as we get more and more teams playing this, we are kind of ending the group stage very soon. Maybe we can kind of see that champion evolve in a different way, but yeah, Rumble and the Renekton have been the two most popular matchups going into this champion, so not afraid to see Shanji pick this one up. I wonder if we're going to be seeing a focus either for that bottom lane, picking up Varus as a response for leave, or we're going to be seeing maybe some focus in jungle. Seems like they're going more for the ranged option.
Ranged option locked in. I was robbed. We were robbed of the Renekton and Bessa matchup when we saw IG take on Ninjas in Pyjamas with the lane swaps fiasco. So it'd be nice to see that Shanji gets to play this matchup more straight up as the Vi.
Now, I want to hold our horses here. Neny was a previous top laner. He actually role swapped a couple years ago.
True.
There is a potential that he ends up just taking this mid. His bruisers mid have been great. He's been playing ADs in the mid lane for the past 2 games. It was the Mbessa when we saw him up against IG. It was the Aurelia in the first game of the day. So I'm kind of hopeful. I mean, we saw it from IG. They said, look, we don't want to play against the Mbessa, or they wanted to, or sorry, LGD should be looking to potentially even try to get away from this matchup if they can, but a lot of different people can kind of pull this out.
Jin gonna come in next to the Vi. Risky champion in competitive play. I always like to say just a mobile. Damage isn't as reliable as a lot of the other marksmen, but pretty powerful. If you can get a lot of the items in quickly, and obviously the range of this curtain call behind the lockdown that both Mbessa and Vi can provide under a single target can be pretty potent, but I like this response immediately from NIP. If we get this locked, or we did get this locked in, it's confirmed. The Akali, it's just such a great answer to Jin, right? Gonna give Chips nightmares as this game goes on.
It is also going to be a pretty competent duelist if we think about what's going to be happening on the side lane. I want to see a little bit more pressure on the back line here coming in from Ninjas Pyjamas, specifically from the tanks. As we get bans coming on through for the second phase of draft, getting rid of Sejuani immediately here from the side of LGD Youth. And for NIP, I don't know if they're going to necessarily focus again on another top matchup. I think maybe looking at a support team up with the Jin. Seems like instead they're going to be opting for the Ahri as well. So some tougher matchups from the laning phase for the Akali to deal with. Maybe setting up for a very specific control mage from Ninefog.
Poppy taken away. Very diverse champion. Maybe trying to take the support prowess. Can be very potent when Wunai has the Poppy, or excuse me, not Wunai. ppgod has the Poppy alongside the Varus. There's a lot of early game lockdown. The Nocturne going to come across. Not a common pairing with the Akali. Your face tells me everything I need to know.
Especially if you're going to ban the Orianna on the back end. I don't know what exactly. Maybe the ultimate, obviously, being able to disable Vi if she wants to try to look for the Assault and Battery. Maybe if she does use it, then you trigger the Nocturne Paranoia, and suddenly the rest of LGD don't really know what's going on. They can't find where their target is. If Jin presses the ultimate, suddenly he just opens up the map, and it's darkness. So, bit of an answer there. I was wondering what Ninefog was going to go for in mid. The most likely control mage was going to be this Azir, but into the Akali, it's going to be pretty tough for Neny early game to get any push. So I'm looking for how LGD Youth can kind of use the priority from their mid lane to open up the map with CC.
Rakan going to be the R5 counter pick locked in for ppgod alongside the Varus. Really, a lot of good answers into the Jin. I feel like NIP are trying to punish this Jin selection early on in the draft. Rakan is the bane of this pick. Akali is the bane of this pick. But like you pointed out, there is some rough navigating for NIP in this early phase, especially even when you talk about the jungle matchup, right? Nocturne, we got to get to that paranoia as quickly as we can. All going to be a big window for CC to impact the Rift on that Vi that really just needs, I mean, level 3 is nice, but you can really get it done with two abilities if you need to on some of these ganks.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to kind of set this gaming. So ever since debuting in LDL, it's been a couple of years since we've kind of seen this player in and out of the league as well. So I kind of want to see what he looks like with, you know, a new team, a new organization, maybe just new surroundings can kind of bring some different kind of results for a player like him.
The final time tonight, we are on to the Rift. LGD Youth taking on Ninjas in Pajamas. No crazy level 1 shenanigans like our last game. Everyone fanning out a bit more. Maybe LGDY looking to push into this top side jungle. It is just Aki up here with the Renekton pretty far away. So Aki's got us to see a lot of territory already. Maybe a vertical jungle being forced here from CC.
Another late invade coming in, and look, for LGD Youth, they wanted to avoid the bad matchup. We've talked about it time and time again. When you are playing the Mbessa matchup into Renekton, it's one of the tougher matchups in lane, so they're going to do a bit of a modified lane swap. Instead of necessarily sending the bot laners to the top lane and then having the top laner sit by himself, Wunai is actually going to be here. Chips is going to be able to farm up and potentially get all the gold for himself, as Shanji's just going to have to play 2v1, the sad little crocodile, get whatever gold and experience. People, when they play the lane swap, especially for our top laners, they have to be really adept at when and how they're actually able to get gold and experience, because typically you're pushed off the wave, you're not really able to get in, or you're going to take a lot of your HP. And DC, I mean, look, they know he took the Raptors, he's taking the red, and you're just going to lose access to all of these waves.
Listen, I'm feeling some serious deja vu. Are we sure that's not the Shy playing Renekton into Shanji? This is exactly how that game went, actually.
The colors are very similar. Like LGD has a large proponent of their logo being white.
Yeah,
could be the case. No support here as well. I mean, you know that the junglers are on the opposite side of the map. Aki having to immediately go into the bot side of LGD Youth and take their jungle camps. Shanji's going to teleport back into this, but there are 4 members from LGD. Let's see what they can do.
We're continuing to mirror the last time we saw this lane stop with the Renekton. Good flash away from the Deadly Flourish. Does not get stunned up under the turret. Shanji putting a ton of work to at least use the turret as his ally best he can. Gets a huge Cole the Meek heal. Chips takes up the first turret shot. Finally, the first blood kill will come across to CC.
But they lost a lot of time on that play, and while CC is not farming camps, it's going to be Aki who's able to get more of these bot side kind of champions, or sorry, creep ready to go. It's 2 plates going over to Leave and ppgod. I think it was a valiant effort, especially for how many members of LGD Youth actually ended up going up to the top side there. So still got most of the experience from the wave. Isn't able to last hit a lot of them, but I mean, invested the flash, invested the TP, and kind of didn't get all that much on return. I mean, LGD, they use a lot of their time, as well as the ignite coming in from Wunai.
This really helps for Ninjas in Pajamas alleviate that jungle timer. We talked about how much more powerful CC can be in this early phase, and Aki's just focused on rushing towards that paranoia. Look how quicker he is on his clear right now. A solid 2 camps up, as CC is just now getting rid of that Gromp. Aki's already on to the respawn of those Raptors. He's got Wolves to go over towards, so a serious experience lead for Aki that's pretty integral to how an IP want to function once those ultimates all come online.
For sure. It's probably going to be another 4 to 6 camps in terms of experience before we start to see Aki get close to level 6 here. Typically, around the 48 to 50 mark is when we start to see junglers get level 6. Maybe he tries to make a gank a little bit earlier on. We also got the bottom side scuttle, so this bottom lane is doing fine for themselves, as well as we're kind of looking at this. Wunai half HP though, and ppgod still has ignite. I kind of foresee potentially NIP looking for something. You see this wave is stuck in a pretty tough spot here for the youth team of LGD, as they can't step up. It's frozen in front of the turret, and kind of see CC is on his way. He wants to try to make something happen.
Oh, but there's the ignite channeled onto Wunai. The flash-piercing arrow. Leave gets the kill before the extra help even shows up from CC. Great pull there for NIP, and now they can really just take control of this wave state.
And look at what they're doing. They want to try to find this play before the Grub spawn. 40 seconds. For everybody at home, if you're ever playing Flex or if you're playing one of those Clash games where you're ready to go, generally speaking, without any kind of insane amounts of movement speed from your champion, if you recall with 40 seconds before the play or the objective is spawned, you're going to generally get there around that time with just 15 or so seconds before it respawns. So making sure that you're there before the objective spawns is really important. We're already seeing NIP deploy out onto the map. Reeve called Shanji to go bot lane, and LGD Youth, instead for the trade, they're going to go ahead and pick up the first dragon, actually foregoing the objective and seeing if they can maybe get level 6, although it's tough here. Like, Aki's now finished the Gromp. He's going to go into this objective. He gets 2 of these mites, he'll hit level 6, and they can make a turn. Neny has ult too. I think this could be very dangerous for the youth team.
That's some really good advice from Team Color winless member, Alk Battery. Appreciate you helping out everybody in their Clash games. You said Clash. I thought you were talking about the caster.
Did you have to throw in the losing part too?
I'm just reading a script, man. All right, you can get mad at the writers, not me. Right now we got Aki a little upset that he has to burn his flash, try to play for those grubs. Gets 2 of them, but now we're starting to really do the battle dances as Nuo trying to push off both Leave and ppgod. In goes the Azir, and there's the Shuriken shuffle from Ninefog. Fools throws Leave to the wolves. Masterful Azir gameplay to get a big kill back for NIP.
Man, Ninefog finding the great window there, and it was very tight because during that time, Aki is doing his Raptors yet again. He actually gets level 6 during that play. If NIP were able to stall out on that Rift Herald versus LGD, there is a potential that they could actually make the turn happen, especially with Neny having that level 6. He could have made a play moving in with the mid jungle here, making a great timer happen for LGD Youth. And that means that they're going to find a couple of kills, as well as then even grabbing themselves at least some of the grubs, picking up 1 and preventing potentially all 6 going over to NIP. Aki instead going towards the bottom side of the map, picking himself up the dragon for the team at 7.5 minutes. So we're not going to have the first dragon started at 11 or 15. Now Leave has no flash again. Uh-oh, buddy.
Curtain ball advantage. The only ult on the table here is Chips. And he gets the crit shot onto ppgod, trying to protect Leave. Good setup, good execution.
Yeah, CC misses the flash Q, but it just does not matter. They're making this play in a Ninefog. I think this is really desperate.
Yeah, first paranoia, but the Akali has more than enough damage. Doesn't even need to use the second bout of the perfect execution. We talk about how important paranoia timings are. Naki jumps on it right as he gets the ability.
Yeah, no flash from Ninefog, no ultimate, so that's just bad on me for not recognizing and respecting the damage of these two. Neny and Aki doing a great job already in this first part of the game. Finally able to get that first ultimate. For Nocturne and TF, it's all about how effective is that first ultimate, because you can get some pretty good ones as the game goes on. Obviously, the lanes get a lot longer when turrets start to fall, and there's vision that changes, but that first one kind of really, I think, sets the pace for the game. It's very similar to like when you're playing against a jungler and you're playing maybe in a series. The first person to really steal a big objective kind of gets in the head of the other one for the most part. It's just some of those small things that start to contribute, but best of ones here for Demacia Cup here in the group stage at the very least. And right now for NIP, I think their big focus is making sure that they can be ready for that next grub fight in 2 minutes time here. I think Shanji has done a great amount of work already on this bot side, getting a couple plates for himself, but really wants to try to accelerate that for them, as getting at the very least 4 grubs feels really good when you have a Renekton and an Akali on a side lane.
Especially with how chunked that bot tier 1 turret is from the lane swapping. We saw Leave and ppgod able to get it a couple of plates off early. Shanji grabs 2 more plates and is now hunting in the murky water of the alcove. Chips, though, does look like he's just going to get the wave in and safely reset. Always love when we get to see AD carry players not know how much danger they were truly in.
Okay. I think Shanji's just going to invest the TP back in. They're going to push probably 1 more wave and then look for it. You see that Aki is throwing his pathing towards the top side of the map. He's already finishing his wolves. Going to move over to the Raptors here. And in this 1 minute timer, I'm looking at the summoner spells here for both teams. No flash for either jungle mid, and our bottom lanes having them both available. So let's see what CC and the rest of this youth team can do, because I was just saying how great it would be for NIP if they were able to grab themselves more of those grubs, but when you have an Mbessa on a side lane, that can definitely be very potent. Azir is a has just so much ability to be hitting a turret, then say, oh look, there's multiple members. Azir shuffle away, I'm gone, I have so much range that I can try to abuse. So I'm really looking forward to how both of these teams are going to leverage themselves around this objective.
I do like the Ninefog went the grass route as well, trying to just build up his resistances as the game goes on. One, because the front line isn't super reliable, as we've seen with some of these other games where we had absolute tank slapstick games versus each other. And also, just to be able to survive how burst-based Akali and Nocturne are, as another Shuriken shuffle comes out from Ninefog into the perfectly timed deadly flourish, and the Sand Soldiers are going to get it done. Ninefog really showing out on such a pocket Azir pick from him.
Okay. Does turn into Leave getting this full turret, so a lot of gold for an AD carry that unfortunately didn't get a lot of time to shine on EDG last year. Got benched a couple times for the Snake and kind of contributed to some of EDG's roster woes. But he's had some really great performances on the few games we actually got to see from him. So I'm excited to see for NIP what exactly more they can get from them, as looks like they're going to push LGD off of the rest of these Grubs. So it's going to be 3-3 here. And still that first turret going over to NIP, I think perfectly fine. Yes, neny does end up dying and kind of sets them up for the play. So you take a look at this replay. So I don't want to see exactly what happens. We just invest the W. Oh,
that's a blind.
Does that W land?
Wow, that lands blind. I didn't even realize the shroud because of our observing angle. That is way more impressive than I initially thought.
Yeah, that's also just like a pretty dry kill coming in versus neny. I mean, no flash on the Akali, but just not respecting for LGD to have multiple members and being ready to play for the Grubs. So good job from LGD. Want to see what they can do on the rest of the map, however, as even though neny does go down, still has a lot of kill threat in the side lane, especially now that ppgod is going for a bit of a cheeky hover on this side of the map. Is spotted out by how many wards LGD Youth have set up.
And he also, though, spotting out CC, who was waiting to see if the all-in from Akali could win onto Nuo. Maybe now will come across. Flash respect from Nuo. Doesn't want to feel the might of this Akali. Other side of the jungle, though. Wards being set up. CC just wants entrance back towards his bot side camps, where he has not had access to those all game long since we forced the lane swap.
Good. Bot side camps are definitely not one of the most valuable ones to get. Have a lot of experience stuck into them.
Oh, chains of corruption. Time to pay the face check tax there, Wunai.
Okay. I mean, we got dragon spawning. It looks like NIP are going to be focusing in on that. Ninefog just separating Shanji from picking up yet another wave. And they've got Herald to play for 50 seconds. I really want to see NIP contest for this. They are going to be up a few ultimates here. They are missing, obviously, the Chains of Corruption, but no Magnet Storm for Wunai means that Engage is going to be a little limited from LGD, really heavily relying on Vi in this instance. And they have a ton of damage to match. They still have Flash on multiple of their carries. They have the ultimates from Shanji and neny, Aki as well with his Paranoia. I think it's very realistic to see them contest for this. 20 seconds, they can still be on the move here. Shanji can teleport for this play. But the bot lane for NIP recalling at an inopportune time is LGD making a big push for this top tier 1 and getting that for themselves. And already a solo played here for Ninefog and Demolish on the mid lane. I love this piece of tech. This is something that we kind of saw evolve throughout this entire last year on Azir, picking up the ranged laners with Grasp the Undying ever since they kind of removed fleet footwork from a lot of champions.
Yeah. It's like a free fall, mad scramble, trying to figure out what new keystones are best for some of these artillery, I guess, magey champions. Rift Herald being started up here by LGD Youth after they open up the top side and they get away with it clean before Aki can show up with this Paranoia. There he'll finally channel it as the Grand Entrance does knock up CC, flashes towards distance, and they are able to buy enough time, and the lights come back on. Leave has the Ambessa corner. Nuo goes back in with the perfect execution, clicks into the pit, and it's just pandemonium. There's no Herald, there's no Baron in there. We're just scrapping like it's Mundo dodgeball, and it's all bets are off as we finally see a huge play from Leave. Gets a massive triple kill on that on-hit. Give him a quadra, actually, on the on-hit Varus.
All right, so who stole the Penta there? Because Leave puts on a show. Lethal Tempo, Varus. We've only seen Lethal Tempo and the lethality, and a lot of our AD carries have been preferring the lethality, but let's get that replay ready and rolling as it's the Herald going over to LGD Youth, but it's the turn off of this objective for NIP. Like you were saying at the beginning of the fight, Leave gets so much damage onto Nuo, and even though he gets the public execution, after this curtain call from the Jhin goes down, he's just in no position to deal damage. All the other damage dealers are already here. Neny and Shanji have done their job, and even though he's stuck into the pit, Leave just makes do. Oh my God, he literally fade away, throws the hail of arrows, takes it down. Neny tries to steal the quadra kill, Probably just expecting that his AD carry was going to go down versus a Collector and Dark Harvest Jhin, but great job from NIP, a huge team fight win, and now we're going into a fight in 2.5 minutes with a lot of summoners down on the opponents. I think NIP should try to snowball this into a continuing win.
Ooh, and I'll check out Leave's build as well. He experimental hexplate Varus wants to.
What is this? What? Huh?
He wants to. I guess he wants to max the Chains of Corruption output he can get, but yeah, that's not what I was expecting.
I'm checking Lolytics, dog. I'm sorry. I just gotta. There's no way this item's real. So.
Hey, LPL's innovative.
It's something, all right. So let me. Okay, experimental hexplate. I'm trying to remember, this item builds out of Tunneler now, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm just shocked it's not the Nocturne that has it.
Yeah, so I think it's Tunneler and Phage, which right now Aki does have the ability to go for. Usually when we see Stridebreaker on Nocturne, they're typically going for that Bruiser-esque build, and so they're going to have the experimental hexplate. How many people are actually building this item second, though? Like, there's no way the Delta's good. Anyway.
Here we go. Another bout of paranoia. Public execution will not create enough of a space here for Nuo, who will fall. Good pick there from Aki.
Okay, I'll check for this item later. Just, it's such a weird build. Like you're saying, getting the ultimates up and available a lot sooner is great for the setup. Maybe they're not feeling as comfortable. Getting almost a sec. Ah, CC. We didn't get the full crash. She actually ends up kind of chipping the end of the wall there going into it. I thought he was going to be able to crash it on too, but I'll give him a B for that. He almost got up to the turret, but not going to be enough for them there. Dragon again spawning in 40, and it's that big objective that I was talking about. So, again, looking at these summoner spells, no flash here for Shanji, Aki, or Neny. But on the opposite side, Ninefog missing that summoner spell. He's going to be a big focus for Neny as that ultimate is coming up and available. And we'll see what NIP are able to do in this instance. Because if LGD Youth can get this dragon, they would stall the soul point here for NIP. And also put themselves, I think, in a pretty strong position to still contest this game.
Leave's got to have the huge target on his back. Luckily gets the cleanse back up, has the flash. And the ultimate, they'll be ever present. Curious to see how LGD's youth squad try and reassess this fight plan, because like we saw many times on the replay of that big bash towards the Baron pit, nobody was looking at Leave until it was far too late.
Alright, so I finally found it. In actual item build sets, experimental hexplate has 20 games played and a 45% win rate, so not looking good. We're going to see the engage coming in.
Here we go with Nemy on the backside. They've just got Chips completely cornered. He flashes, but he can't get away from Aki. Huge Emperor's Divide comes down from Ninefog to try and buy some space, but Leave shows up to the party, immediately gets jumped on by CC, trying to flash back, but Abessa Gaming has arrived. Whoa, falls just short, though. I thought he had the angle, but it's CC stacking up the shots, and Ninefog looking for the turn. The range bar stacked up for Shanji. Needs a big cola meat, good slice and dice, and bounces out with the blast cone. Another bloody fight between these two squads leaves only 2 members standing.
And LGD's mid laner on the youth team has, I think, continued to impress here. A new player to the roster, and when we look at this team, I mean, he's just been playing so well in some of these games. He debuted for them on IGY, actually, in Split 2. He actually ended up winning that split and was on the team with Neny during that time. So I think we get a little bit of a fun matchup between these two mid laners, and I want to see what they're both able to do. So immediately here in the replay, Neny applying pressure onto Chips. Chips just goes down to Aki's ultimate, investing the flash, and then this Azir ultimate just spaces out ppgod. They're able to then catch out onto Neny, and I just love how untouched this Azir is. He is providing so much DPS, and I think some of the frontliners, specifically Noah and CC, are doing a fantastic job of setting up for the Emperor. They're starting a Baron in the live play.
Whoa,
hold up. They've got Azir? Hell yeah, let's do this.
Why not? Doesn't have a ton of damage with the second item Banshee's Veil, but we are in our spy espionage arc. Finally spotted out. The Baron is taken by CC before the paranoia comes across. Aki just a bit too late. CC will fall to Neny and Aki, but that is one hell of a heist pulled off by LGD Youth.
Huge win for them, getting the Baron. Now they need to be able to match on side lanes. I don't know how much they'll actually be able to get for this Baron. It's great that they got it on spawn and that they called the bluff of NIP, but you're losing a lot on the map. And one of the ways you can counter a Baron is just pushing out all of your lanes. Make it so that all the time spent with this Baron is going to be utilized just pushing out lanes and then finally hitting the structures. And you see how many tier 1s that NIP have? 0. It's going to be a while before LGD Youth can actually push into the opponent's squad. So I think this Baron actually just lost a large part of this map. It might be pretty dangerous if they can get it on the back end towards the end of the 2-minute timer here for the buff. Then it'll be great. But as is, if this continues with the status quo, LGD Youth may have thrown away their position on the map for an objective that ultimately doesn't matter, especially because it won't even be available a minute and a half before this next dragon spawns.
At least it helps them close that gold gap pretty audaciously. I'm with you, though. I'm also really worried. The Jhin build, we have the Dark Harvest. We're going Collector, IE third, I expect, with that Cloak and the Rapid Fire Cannon, but a lot of the damage reliancy is going to be on Ninefog in these fights. It's just so hard for Jhin to match a ton of damage from other marksmen, especially with Leave, who is just so far accelerated with this Varus. We might have a fight brewing as LGDY are fighting for this tier 2 turret. They're a little worried. They don't see a lot of members of Ninjas in Pyjamas on the map. They just see Neny. Finally, ppgod and Aki make an appearance, but Paranoia is available. And Shanji waiting over the walls, looking for an angle to slice and dice his way in. Tension is palpable. Wunai going down just a little bit of a primer stun onto ppgod.
They know Shanji's there. They know Shanji's there because Noah actually getting the wireframe from the scanner there. So Red Trinket providing a lot of value here for the LGD Youth, and they have they're the ones with the Baron, right? So they're getting extra damage down on this turret. It's going to be the ults from Chips here to at least dissuade NIP and give them a little bit of breathing room as they take this turret.
They get the turret. Last shot of the curtain call being held as Zero turret taking its place. Lights go out. Will Aki commit? It's actually CC going forward.
Whoa,
there's the CC assist. He's got the croc. He wants to target Shanji, but maybe going a bit too far for his britches. Wunai falls first, and now you got ppgod trying to find quickness charms, and it's LGDY that are now on the back foot. Ninefog tries to
Neny.
back. In goes Neny. He just gets obliterated by Chips, and now the perfect execution sends Duo towards the back line. The fear lands onto Ninefog. Aki gets back in time and sets up Leave to barrel them down with a flurry of arrows.
It's going to be 1,000 gold down, almost all of the Barons off of LGD Youth. And they don't even get all that much. They use all of it, basically, to get a single turret in trade here and still end up losing the fight. It's a minute and a half before the Dragon. A lot of ultimates will be back up, but so many summoners taken away from this LGD Youth team. The LDL representatives not able to kind of turn that fight in their favor. And now NIP are looking to siege upon multiple turrets in 2 lanes.
What a swing. That really felt like a moment for LGD Youth to really push their lead. They got the paranoia out early. Just CC feeling like going a bit too far. I feel like they don't need to force this fight with Baron and already having that paranoia down.
Yeah, him and Wunai are just way too far up for any of the damage dealers, especially because there is no Jhin ultimate. Yeah, you just get Storm Surge, Electrocute Diffed by Neny, gets the second part of the perfect execution. And watch Aki in this fight, by the way. Perfect spell shield onto Ninefog. Stops him from getting knocked back with the Emperor's Divide. And it turns into more kills here for NIP. Looking at a Cloud Soul here, a Drake that, talking with a couple of other pros, seems like they're kind of getting more and more enthusiastic about this soul, especially with how the game is really reliant around a bunch of champions whose ultimates are super, super impactful. You get a bunch of movement speed as well. I think it's kind of looking good for this NIP roster, who are looking to put up another win on the board here in the group, as the final game of the day is looking to crest at an end.
And Leave now 4 items deep. After we verified the build with the experimental hex plate. Love the Wit's End as well. Just so powerful for this on-hit Varus. On top of the fact it will nullify a bit of Ninefog's damage, who we talked about is really the apparent biggest threat to Leave, unless he's mispositioned on some of these curtain calls. Cloud Soul as well. Just so potent, especially for that Akali Nocturne combination.
For sure. Almost everybody, right? Like, Nocturne enjoys the movement speed. ppgod on Rakan loves the movement speed. Renekton presses ultimate. double black cleavers here built for NIP. They're on triple item spikes for almost every member here. NIP are looking to kind of take and close out this game 40 seconds before that Baron is spawning. And I think with that buff coming on through, NIP, I mean, they have multiple options, right? They can use the Baron to end the game. They can use the Baron as a staging platform for LGD Youth to kind of fight them. So if they say, look, either you're fighting us on this objective and you're going to lose the game because we're going to out-team fight you, or we're going to get the Baron and end the game anyway without you even getting a chance. They're TPing deep and we're looking at a fight.
Lights are out. Oh, Shanji's going to have a huge jump in. Look at the Wombo. Grand entrance and a croc on top. Sure, the Emperor's Divide delays the inevitable, but a setup of dreams for Ninjas in Pajamas. 4 kills with a snap of a finger.
And before the Baron even spawns, they've got a mid-wave they can play for. It looks like what they'll do, take the inhibitor line, maybe try to break open the base. It's 30-second death timers here. Wunai will be up in 15. I don't think any NIP can try to end here at 27 minutes, but they're going to get damn close to it and try to look for that Baron afterwards. Maybe they just go for it, though.
Swinging for the fences here, looking for the home run hit. Onto the Nexus turrets, they try and eliminate the one member of LGDY up.
That's
Since
it.
he didn't have a chance in the world, it's just Wunai available. Nexus turrets down. Ninjas in Pajamas with a strong showing from Group D. It may not be a bracket stage appearance, but it's a solid 2-1 finish.
Great job coming in from the Ninjas in Pajamas as, I mean, look, the game versus IG, chalk it up to experience, chalk it up to the level of play that IG kind of were able to show here in the group, but a great showing up against LGD Youth, who, in all fairness, were a team that we were expecting to be in the bottom half of this group, right? They are the LTL representatives. It's a bunch of players that actually don't have a ton of experience playing, right? They're in terms of game time, they're pretty low. Even their jungler really only debuted in NEST 2023 for RA, and that was kind of it. So I'm kind of excited for this LGD Youth team, as while they are a bunch of new players, hopefully they can kind of show off. And I think for Ninefog, 404 we're saying, like, he was getting very hype every time Ninefog was able to kill Rookie, but he showed a lot in this game that I think for a bunch of other mid laners you're kind of looking for, especially in developing talent.
Very true. Nice to see Leave. You talked about him. Such a storied player on EDG Forever. Looking pretty crispy after stepping onto his new roster, Ninjas Pajamas. Sure, we're going to see the highlight reel of that Varus play constantly, and even showing off the new builds. It's just important to grasp the fact that Ninjas in Pajamas, it was nice competing with IG, but this is the finish. This is a lot of good takeaways for them going into the LPL, especially as we reinforce the idea that you got to get off to a fast start. It's nice to see that they had such a good showing in the Demacia Cup.
Their floor should be relatively fine. I said that this was going to be another team that's probably going to end middle of the pack when you look at the roster. I mean, you have Shanji, who I think was the lone kind of bright star, even though I think his last couple of years have not been great. 2023, he had a great run with OMG as a whole. Aki, his 2024 was a big struggle for him, and it seems like this time around definitely needs a little bit of a layup. Neny has always been a player that I think, despite playing underneath Rookie, has not been able to showcase some of the excellence of having someone as kind of your lead versus the understudy. And even ppgod, specifically for Leave, I want to see what this guy looks like on an LPL team where he gets a full split under his belt. He's not really been able to kind of get that front to back in terms of experience. And while he's been a really good player, he's rookie of the split in spring of 2023. We have not really, I think, in my eyes, I think we've got to see kind of the level and ceiling of a player like Leaf. So I want to see more of that as this year goes on, as plays like this are why I think why ourselves and the broadcast as a whole are so excited about Ninefog going forward in the LDL. But this is kind of one of the few plays we got to see from LGD Youth that were positive for them.
I've enjoyed the level of Azir play I've gotten to see over my 2 days, right? We had, I believe it was XQW was going crazy in Group A with some of those Shuriman shuffles, as I like to call them. Like you mentioned, LGD Youth put up a good fight early here, but things really started to swing back towards NIP, got back to their roots, played really good conditions based off their comp, and started to run away with it. It all really starts with Leave's epic battle towards this Baron pit.
Exactly. He played so well, the mechanical prowess of a player like this, and hopefully for NIP, they can kind of right the wrongs of a couple years that have not gone well for them. They kind of started off with being able to get someone like Rookie on the team and kind of building that roster. They ended up not really making it that far. Obviously had a top finish, but didn't make it to any of the internationals, didn't do much in the regional qualifier, and then for this last year, kind of were just a team that were kind of just sitting around in the middle of the pack team. And hopefully with this one, they can go for a little bit higher highs, as I think their ceiling is a bit higher. And for LGD Youth, every game is about experience for them. As one of the 2 LDL representatives coming in from the development and tier 2 region league for LPL in China. So it's just great to see this level of talent is also able to kind of push some of our lower end and middle of the pack LPL teams, right? Because that's what we saw in the Group A bout with BLG Junior. Yeah, and even the LGD squad actually, because they are actually the LDL champions moving forward.
Right, too, and even saw some of that with what we saw from Group B, I believe, to kick off this entire Demacia Cup. It's the 2 things you really look for with this tournament is what these top orgs look like with their roster reshuffles, how their cohesion, and then the other aspect of it is we're star hunting. We're looking for the future of this region, and I think we've gotten a couple of good indications, at least all you and I view of Group A and D so far. There's that awesome flank, that we saw to really end this game. Shanji, that's a dream teleport. Nobody spotted him.
So we got to see who is going to be our player of the game now. Because
here we go.
We got a couple of people that I think
it's
performed really
obvious.
Well. I think it should be Leave. I think Leave should definitely be earning it. Not on any of the 80 carry bias that's here on the broadcast. Definitely not between the 2 of us, but
yeah, for sure.
He played mechanically really well.
Really well. It's always it's such a flow state when you're playing that on hit Varus and you get the lethal tempo stacked and you just feel like you're just better than everybody. You saw it from Leave on the Varus. Cool to see that new build path as well. I'm curious how much experimental hexplate we'll potentially see from Varus players. I wonder if it would. It doesn't really fit with the lethality path, right? Because you already have. I guess it could. It's a discussion for another day. Hey, there we go. 280 carries, win, MVP across the 3 games we were able to cover together. Leave. Outstanding performance. You can see the stats too just really reflect it.
I still got question marks for the experimental hexplate, but yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Oh
man. Game.
We almost got through it without any leap buns. You ruined it, man.
No, I